the 40th anniversary of the championship team. They're going to be celebrating that on Saturday at the ballpark with the Brewers in town. We're going to be talking to Tom Herr. He is coming up in the show in the next hour. Looking forward to speaking to him. He was my first favorite player. No,
really?
My second favorite player. Ozzie was number one, and Tom was number two because I played second base in Little League.
Oh,
So
very
I
nice.
had to go with him. I had to go with Tom Herr.
I was trying to remember my first favorite player because there are the names that you of course know, like Ozzie and Willie McGee. But then for some reason as a young kid, and I honestly think it's because I liked saying his name, but Tom Pagnazzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Tom Pagnazzi, and I think I just liked that I knew his name. I felt like a grown up when when I said Tom Pagnazzi because it sounded like I knew baseball.
It's a good name. It's a nice Italian boy. That Tom Pagnazzi.
I know.
Yeah, I love Tom Pagnazzi too. He was great. All of my memories of the 80s and 90s Cardinals, yes, even the 90s Cardinals, the early 90s Cardinals were very good, even though things weren't so great in the early 90s. But we're going to be talking to Tom Herr in the next hour. Amy, flying right now allegedly is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. And I don't know how I'm going to do it because next month I got to go to Rhode Island. I'm supposed to go to
random.
I'm supposed to go to Providence.
Okay.
And I'm saying supposed to because there's this little part of me that kind of wants to back out. But there's a bachelor party that I have to go to for a good friend of mine, and he's having a roast. He wants to be roasted, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I got to host the roast. But flights.
Okay, so that's why. Okay. Do you want to back out because you don't want to host the roast?
No, I've hosted roast before.
I've been a roast.
I've been a roast host before.
Have you been roasted?
Yeah, they roasted me during the roast.
Okay.
But I was the host for that roast.
Yeah.
It was the roast of Ozzie Guillen, who is the White Sox manager. And, kind of a loudmouth. I love the guy. He's great. But yeah, I gave it to him pretty good.
Good for you.
I had a couple of really good jokes that I can't repeat here because I would be in serious trouble.
But wait, why do you want to back up? I'm sorry.
Because
Providence,
here's the deal.
Yeah.
Flying from St. Louis to Providence is brutal. It's like
not direct, you would say.
No direct flights. I think I found one, but it's at like 5 a.m, and I don't care. I'm not getting on a plane at 5 a.m. I'm not going to the airport at 3:30. I'm just not doing it. Okay.
So I will say this: next month I am doing that.
Oh well, you wake up at 2:30. You've lived an entire day by the time you come into work.
I have.
Which is so stupid to me. I don't get it.
We operate in different time zones, but we're getting off track here. So you're flying to Providence, and it's going to be inconvenient.
Right. And I have heard nothing but just ridiculous stories from people who have either had flights delayed or flights outright canceled. This is a problem, and I know that we've been talking about it. The country has been, well, really, the world has been talking about it. This is a global issue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a number of different things. The lack of pilots. A lot of pilots took early retirement during 2020 when a lot of people were not traveling. They're having a difficult time filling that. They're having a difficult time with filling flight attendant people on the grounds crew, like all of these different jobs are having difficulty getting filled. So it's creating some real nightmares when it comes to people trying to book travel.
Sure. And I know it's as bad as it is in the United States. It's even worse in Europe. I think airlines in America, I should say, canceled something 20,000 flights over just the summer. 20,000 flights were canceled. I know American Airlines canceled thousands of flights that were scheduled for November. And my friend who just got back from Israel and then Greece and then back to the United States said in Europe it's even worse. There were tens of thousands of flights canceled there. And I flew to Nashville a couple of weeks ago. And the one thing I knew was get an early flight because you have less time for things to go wrong and compound over the course of a day.
Yeah.
So we tried to pick early flights. Next month, I am flying to Calgary. So I'm going to Banff. So I'm flying to Calgary, then driving 2 hours to Banff. It'll be St. Louis to Dallas, Dallas to Calgary. And our flight leaves at 5:40. So I guess for an international flight, we'll want to be there by 4 a.m., no
Right.
later than 4 a.m. And I'm hoping that because it's so early, we'll be on time, but we pretty much have to be on time.
Yeah.
Because our layover in Dallas is 45 minutes.
Oh gosh, that's no time.
It's no time.
That's off the plane onto the next one immediately. No wait in the airport at all.
So here's my question. We didn't come up with this plan. We clicked on, American Airlines, get to Calgary.
Right.
And this was the flight we picked. So I feel like they know what they're doing, but I have always heard that you need longer than 45 minutes for a layover, right? Isn't that risky?
I don't. Well, your bags may not make it to the plane, I guess.
Don't say that.
But you should be able to get to the flights. I mean, they know at the gates that there are people connecting. Like they have an itinerary in front of them. They are able to see, okay, well, here's on the manifest, it should say like these 4 people are coming from whatever flights and they're connecting here. So I guess they'll wait a small amount of time, but they're not going to wait 30 minutes if you're late or an hour.
International flight. So
yeah.
If we land 45 minutes before our flight takes off for Calgary,
yes,
they're probably boarding that flight already by the time we land.
I believe in public service, Amy, and I believe that a radio station like KMOX should provide that public service to people. I had heard or seen a clip from the Daily Show from a couple of weeks ago, and the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, was on it. And he was talking about the rights that you have as a traveler if a flight gets canceled or delayed. The website, by the way, is transportation.gov, and it does very explicitly say there is a section under refunds, and the very first item is canceled flight. A consumer is entitled to a refund if the airline canceled a flight, regardless of the reason, and the consumer chooses not to travel. So that's very important to know, because I don't think a lot of people are aware they have this recourse.
No, I don't think they do. And also with overbooked flights, at the gate, each airline has it's under that gate's purview, whoever's working there, to pay passengers to miss their flight. Say, hey, we overbooked. If you want to stay in St. Louis and not go to Providence, we'll give you $2,000. And you can basically bid that up. If no one takes it, they say, okay, $5,000. You could get up to like $10,000 Delta was offering. So I think best case scenario is you get to your gate in Providence, or to go to Providence, you get to your gate in St. Louis. They've overbooked the flight, and you somehow get the cash for not going to Providence. That would be the best.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Because that's what we were hoping for in Nashville when we were going there. It was a wedding, so I know that's sad. But we both said, how much money would it take for you to not go to Nashville and just take the cash? I mean, $2,000, $1,000, I'm staying in St. Louis.
Oh, we talked about this. I think we discussed this about a month ago when that $10,000 thing was a story.
Yeah.
And I said, I will miss my best friend's wedding for $10,000.
I'll miss my own wedding for $10,000.
Absolutely. We can do this some other time.
Exactly.
That's 10 grand.
I know.
That's $10,000.
That's a great trip.
I could give it to charity. I won't, but I could.
You could.
That could do a lot of good for a lot of people. And by people, I mean me.
You think of the vacation. Think of the honeymoon you could go on.
Right?
For $10,000?
Another thing is a scheduled change or significant delay. This is on the transportation.gov website. A consumer is entitled to a refund if the airline made a significant schedule change and or significantly delays a flight and the consumer chooses not to travel. I really don't think most people are aware of this.
No.
And I think it's important to tell them that if the airline, you call them and say, because I know somebody recently who said, yep, they won't refund my flight. And I'm like, they have to. They have to pay you. So transportation.gov, if you're going to fly somewhere, if you get there, there's a major delay or they cancel your flight, and then you call the airline and say, you've got to refund me, and they try to give you the runaround, they can't. They have to pay you. So you can reach out to the Department of Transportation too, and they will take care of you. Again, transportation.gov. I think that's very, very important. What?
Very helpful. No, that was it.
Do you feel like I did the public service today?
Yeah, it felt very official. I really appreciate it. And if there is a patron saint of luggage, I would like to know which patron saint that is. I'm going to put a geotag on my luggage.
I do think Saint Christopher is the. I think he's supposed to help you in your travels.
Is he?
I think so.
And your luggage too?
Yep.
Okay.
Luggage is traveling.
Perfect.
Amy Marks course, Chris Ranji. It is the show 80s week on KMOX.
Well, if you've lived in St. Louis for a long
That's
time,
good.
you know that.
Ranji, I got a couple of those clips in there right now. They're 15 and 20 seconds. Is that good?
Cool. Yep.
You want a couple more?
Nope, that's fine. That should be fine because we'll probably just bounce back with that. Thank you, buddy.
Yep.
You'll not only optimize your curb appeal and market value.
Don't forget to read the Old Town sponsor.
Looking home in the neighborhood. James Hardy is unmatched for its weather resistance, its toughness, and its beauty. And as a preferred James Hardy
What does it mean to
contractor,
be
Banner
bussin'?
is basically a St. Louis
Bussin'?
institution.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good thing to be bussing.
Remember, the Banner is also a Pella Platinum certified contractor. You'll get the optimum in installation and energy efficiency.
Really good.
So apparently there's this Twitter account called @BasedMikeLee. And Benny Johnson, I think he's a weirdo conservative. He said, "How fast can @BasedMikeLee get 1,000 followers?" And this @BasedMikeLee said, "This account is no cap. Bussin' for real, for real."
Yeah, that's good.
And then Sam Brody of the Daily Beast said, "So it turns out the Based Mike Lee Twitter account is actually Mike Lee's personal account, which means a sitting U.S. senator has, likely for the first time ever, claimed to be bussin'."
I can't believe you ain't heard of bussin'.
No.
KMOX.com/community banking. Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, August 10th, we're running a one-day end of summer special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of weight.
I'd like to get something to, like Kevin did, to prop this up just a little bit. I don't like the way
A bunch of books in the sports office.
How much time do I have?
Transform your love life.
Oh, you
Grab
got,
your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify
you got
for
about
assessment and
2.5 minutes.
But bussin's not bad, right?
What are we talking about here?
But trendy.
Oh yeah,
But
trending.
like bussin's not offensive. You can say it on air. Yeah. Okay.
Are you you're trending? You're going first?
Sure.
But call today, Wednesday, and qualify totally free. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 314-530-7777.
It's the Sail On Tour 2022, starring Orlando, Firefall,
You are the woman that I've always dreamed of.
Kenny Beckett, the voice of Player, John Ford Cody, Walter Egan, and the Babies. It's Sail On Tour 2022. Saturday, October 15th at the Family Arena. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.
It's the greatest pop rock of the 60s and 70s. I'm happy to get
What's the Madison Mill Boy?
2022. Tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Family Arena. Starring the Turtles. Gary Tucker and the Union Gang.
It's a little bit.
The
The
Buckingham.
Buckinghams.
Why is Feinstein? Why is Diane Feinstein?
She dead?
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster and at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena.
Oh, I think because she's 88.
Here to tell you about an organization.
88.
Joe Biden, 79. Nancy Pelosi, 82. Maxine Waters, 83. Diane Feinstein, 88. Chuck Grassley, 88.
Americans to Washington, D.C. for free to see their memorials. Greater St. Louis Honor Flight is looking for you. If you
Oh, I gotta get the,
sign them up for their honor flight, or if you'd like to lend your support, visit
Oh, I
gsmhonorflight.org.
think because
And
she's
for all things heating and
showing
cooling,
mental
visit
decline.
aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE.
So
regardless
she
of age or
apparently,
past
as they were
medical
headed
history,
to the
you'll see
Senate
instant
floor to
results
vote,
on your
she
first
asked
visit
her
at
chief
Paramount
of
Mental
staff,
Medical Center. And
where
we're
are we
looking to start
going?
your initial
And he said, we're
consultation
going
and
to
first treatment
vote, and
totally
for
free.
this vote, I
Call
have you
now,
down as a
314-760-8081.
no, Feinstein's chief of staff replied.
Yeah.
Not great.
Not good.
High
No.
Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Not
Sundays at 9:30 a.m.
great.
for
Okay, both of my trendings are senatorial in nature.
AE Wealth Management LLC.
For all station contest rules, go to
Okay.
KMOX.com/rules.
Long summer days call for extra hands. Hire fast with Indeed. Their hiring solution helps attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Mission St. Louis, empowering entire families to break the cycle of
Does
poverty.
anybody know
You
what
can
Cars
help
for
keep St.
Kids
Louis strong.
does?
Learn more at
No.
missionfl.org.
I donated a car once to the American Lung Association. Actually, I think that's what Cars for Kids is. I think it is. Yeah. Got a huge tax thing back because it wasn't worth anything. This was 12 years ago, probably.
This is the show. This show
Continues on KMOX.
What is it? What's happening?
Tell you what's got to be trending later is me winning yet another draft. We've got an 80s commercial draft coming up later in the show. If you want to, and I want you to do this, the Google voicemail line for the show, 314-944-1120. If you want to give us what your favorite 80s commercial is or was, and if you want to sing the jingle, you can do that too. 314-944-1120 to sing us your favorite 80s commercial.
I mean, I know you guys know what we're talking about, but you know, when you think of famous 80s taglines commercials, where's the beef? Or as a kid, this is your brain on drugs, right?
Yeah.
Anything like that. Any type of 80s commercial or slogan or tagline. All right, for trending, Ranj,
I prefer if you sing. I want something. I mean, you don't have to sing, but if you do want to call in and sing, you definitely should do that. By the way, trending sponsored by Old Town Donuts and Florissant and Cottleville.
Keith Took making the best donuts out there. All right, all of my trending right now is senatorial in nature. So an account on Twitter at Based Mike Lee, right? Yeah, at Based.
Do you know
Mike
what based means?
Yeah, based or cringe. So based means it's like legit. Cringe means you didn't do it.
Based is the new version of woke.
No.
Yeah, kinda. It means that you get it. If you're
Oh.
based, it means you're grounded. You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go
Okay.
ahead.
So this account at Based Mike Lee responded to a tweet and said, "This account is no cap, bussin' for real, and for real is one word, FORREAL.
Do you know what no cap means?
Like no limit,
No lie.
no lie.
It means no lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sam Brody of the Daily Beast.
You're so old.
Okay. Just go
Go
to
ahead.
Montana with Wheeler.
Is that where he is?
I don't know. So it turns out, this is according to Sam Brody, that Based Mike Lee Twitter account is actually Senator Mike Lee's personal account. This means a sitting U.S. senator has, likely for the first time ever, claimed to be, quote, bussin'.
That is
Bussin'
amazing.
For real. Now, what's interesting is that the Based Mike Lee is getting into it with congressional candidate from Utah, Evan McMullin. So Mike Lee is a senator from Utah. Evan McMullin's from Utah. He ran for president in 2016. And Evan McMullin tweeted, "If I'd conspired with a guy whose home is now being invaded by the FBI, I'd be worried." And Based Mike Lee responded, "I'm feeling great, thanks. I'd be worried if I had celebrated what could turn out to be a breathtaking abuse of power by the FBI for political purposes." This is a sitting U.S. senator going at it on Twitter as Based Mike Lee.
Dude.
I mean, it's a new world out there, but
Look, I would vote for a senator who used the word based and bussin' and no cap. Like, I don't care what they stand for otherwise.
really?
I would, and I don't care what their political party is. I would vote for them.
I don't know. Senator Mike Lee, man. And then the other one is Feinstein is trending because apparently there are some issues with Dianne Feinstein. She's 88 years old, and maybe she's lost a little on her fastball. I think this comes as no surprise, but apparently on the way to vote on the Votorama the other day, she was exiting the elevator and asked, "Where are we going?"
That's not good.
Chief of staff said, "So for this vote, I have you down as a no."
Look, you can be a great public servant and have served for decades, but there has to be a time where you probably need to move on. And I think we might be and it's sad. I mean, it's not funny. You know, it's very sad when somebody gets to that level, but there is an issue of competence, and you get to a certain point and, you know, you can't do the job anymore.
No, all the respect to her career, but I do
Absolutely.
think it's time.
And I think that's true of a lot of people in Congress.
Yes.
A lot of people, not just her. Another hour of the show coming up. Tom Herr will be joining us next hour as we celebrate the 1982 Cardinals. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji. Kevin is off. You're listening to the show.
I don't know where the hell Kevin is.
Devastation the rain has caused the flooding. I've mentioned Stray Paws before. They're a rescue place to find dogs, and they try to find them forever homes. And they lost 10 puppies. They couldn't get to them in time with the water came up.
I think it's time to go.
And the building, I was just out there, but everybody's down there, and they're all volunteer, and they're trying to put the building back together as quickly as possible.
Somebody texted in, very based response though, NGL, which means not gonna lie. I like that. All right, Amy, I'm gonna go pee and maybe get some coffee.
Hey, me too.
Inman with an I.com. Go to on the front page there, you see like those three little bars up in the top right hand corner. Click on that, and Stray Paws should come up, and just click on that, and you'll have all their information, their email, and you can contact.
Hey, you like real busy in there? They got food out in the kitchen. See what's out there. If there's something good, bring it back. If it's like actually healthy stuff, then don't worry about it. It says breakfast stuff, so I'm hoping like bacon, something good.
Yeah,
or, bagels or something maybe.
Yeah, I'll go take a look.
She has options to help every type of home seller because she understands that every situation is different. If you need to sell your home quickly, but you're worried about finding your next home, Gloria has your answers and solutions. Gloria has an instant cash offer program that gives you above market cash offers, no showings, no hassles, and you pick the closing date even up to a year, giving you the cash and time needed to find your next home. Call Gloria Lou and ask her about the instant cash offer guarantees or other options that will help you sell fast and for the most money. Call 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. It's Gloria Lou of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria has the buyers.com.
KMOX KECK HD2 K254CR St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Chances are you're jamming in your car right now. And since Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance, so you only pay for what you need, Limu and I are going to show you some safe car dance moves. Hit it. Everybody, check your blind spots real quick. Now hands on the wheel. Put them 10 and 2 and move your head like a bird do. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we have cloudy skies, 77 degrees downtown at the Arch. In the news, a recycling plant in the Metro East is ablaze this hour, pouring thick black smoke into the sky. Brian Kelly is there and joins us live with more. Brian?
Megan, this is in Madison, and it is at the Interco recycling plant, and this fire is about a block long. I can see a building that was, and I say was, on the far side of the main building here that has been completely destroyed. It has collapsed for the most part. There are intense flames in there, and you may be able to hear the pops. Those have been constant since I got here a couple of minutes ago, probably tanks on forklifts and things like that, although I can't confirm that. But some of those explosions are sending kind of shrapnel up into the air, pieces flying through the air. This smoke is as black as it can get right here. And again, it's about a block long, and it is furious. We got calls and we had texts from St. Louis, people talking about the smoke that's over the city. From there.
It's just like eggs and
this fire
there was like, I don't even think it was toast yet, and a thing of like avocado spread, no meats.
So it was just eggs and toast?
Yeah, pretty much. I saw D to the Sea walk over there. I'm like, oh, okay. And I saw it was just eggs. I don't know how long those eggs are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, maybe some sausage. I'll snag a patty. Or
right, yeah. Nothing? Nothing. Just that.
You gotta start listening to what the items are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, so all I got was an email saying, oh, there's free food.
But really for others to wait and see whether Donald Trump will finally be held accountable for some of the frauds with which he's charged.
President Joe Biden signing the PACT Act today. CBS News correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns details what it is.
This is something that will expand VA healthcare benefits for veterans who were exposed to toxic burn pits while serving the country.
That's the offense works.
Probably heard a lot of stories about veterans dying from cancer or other related illnesses because of their exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Burn pits were commonly used to dispose of chemicals, medical equipment, and human waste. The Department of Veterans Affairs, until this point, has denied about 70% of disability claims involving exposure to those pits. Police found a missing 2-year-old girl this morning after her mother left her alone in a vehicle that ended up being stolen off Dunn Road.
This is the big loud.
Officer Adrian Washington with the St. Louis County Police Department says
What are we talking about?
North County looking for clues about the suspect.
You seen the mayor?
Oh. You were talking about the police here, Amy?
Sure. I just got a message from
3 to 6 this morning before police found the
definitely a creepy profile that says, "Do you have a girlfriend?"
Do you?
It's that time again when students are starting a new school year. As teachers buy classroom supplies, they're reaching deeper into their own.
Is it the police union suing story?
Yes. That's how much teachers nationwide will spend this year out of their own pockets. That's an average of $800.
Yeah, and then it can get into the payments as well.
Did we report on this here? We did too, right?
I think so.
I couldn't find anything, and I think Debbie said they just read on it because I reached out. Maria said she doesn't feel comfortable talking about it
Because she doesn't know enough about it.
Yeah, so I got we can just use generic. If there's a quote, we'll have to quote the Post-Dispatch. We don't have anything on it.
Okay.
And then she said the Ethical Society issued an official statement on Facebook, which they did. So I pulled that. It's not audio.
Which was the primary site of raw materials for production of the COVID-19 vaccine. The expansion will give Pfizer's campus nearly 400,000 square feet of space. The 3-story addition will include office and lab space with an elevated bridge and
So, like in this segment, do you want to get into the pay thing with Clayton
I think we can. I think
or the county?
I can set up as 2 issues. You
Yeah.
can toss it to me and say, hey, there's 2 issues going on.
Yeah.
We're always talking about crime and police.
Yep. Okay.
64, it's on the right-hand shoulder. There will also a stall on northbound 55 near Lindbergh. It also on the right-hand shoulder. Let's check the forecast now.
A good-looking afternoon of weather.
I don't think you want to support Mike Lee.
Partly to mostly sunny skies, dropping humidity.
Why?
Nice temperatures, 83
Because he was the
tonight,
Trumpy guy.
Clear, cool, comfortable.
That's why
I
Evan
know.
McMullen said, I'd be nervous. And he goes, I'd be nervous or whatever.
The overnight
Like, it's just so random. It's like, these are senators.
Thursday, partly
Like,
sunny skies.
based Mike Lee, he's a
Yeah.
senator. It's not even the House of Representatives, which is full of wackos. This is a senator.
About 88 degrees and then cool back down again. Friday and Saturday, partly sunny and 80. Sunday, 85. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
Currently, we have 77 degrees in Florissant, 76 in St. Peters, And downtown at the Arch, mostly cloudy skies, 77 degrees. I'm Megan Lenz, KMOX News.
Sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
Former Cardinal Tom Herr will join the show at 11:30 after the news. It is 80s week, celebrating the 1982 Cardinals. The ceremony takes place on Saturday. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. Kevin is out for the week. Now, we have, Amy, for, I guess the entirety of the show, we've been talking a lot about where we are in terms of the crime in this city. And there are plenty of debates about what the correct path is to help cure the crime. Now, crime has been an issue in this city for as long as I can remember. We have been, at least going back to the 80s, the late 80s anyway, and probably before that. But just in doing some quick research, we have been top 5 in violent crime rate that entire time. So like me growing up here in St. Louis or in the St. Louis area, we have dealt with this for quite some time. But there are always issues regarding how we fix it. How do we go forward and how do we make this better? And it looks like there are a couple of different issues right now, Amy, that the city is facing when it comes to policing here in the city.
Yeah, a lot of topics surrounding the police. I think, this goes back a ways, but we know we're getting federal money. We know we're getting NFL lawsuit money. So a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars will be making its way to the city of St. Louis. There have been a lot of questions about, what approach Mayor Tishaura Jones will take. She's talked about cure violence. She's also talked about placing an emphasis on social workers and mental health workers, which I do think it's important to boost law enforcement with those resources because we do ask so much of our police officers. But there are also, at last count, there might be more, well over 100 police officer vacancies in the city of St. Louis. Now, the mayor had said she wasn't going to fill those vacancies. But what we do know is we're short of police officers in the city of St. Louis. Well, a couple of things here. A couple of groups have this week filed a lawsuit against the city of St. Louis. These groups include the Ethical Society of Police. Now, that the Ethical Society advocates for Black officers, and they did endorse Mayor Jones for mayor, but they are part of this lawsuit that targets a bill that Mayor Jones signed last week, which creates a new civilian-run agency to investigate police misconduct and also hand out discipline. Now, normally when you're talking about issues of police misconduct, that has been handled within the department itself. And I think the Ethical Society has said in a statement, and I'll get to their statement, that it's a little bit too broad. Here we go. They said the lawsuit is not against the Citizens Oversight Board, nor the citizens of the city of St. Louis. We have opposed the language of this particular bill because we are concerned with its broadness. For example, a teenager could be on the COB, or the Citizen Oversight Board. The Ethical Society of Police would like to be involved with both the creation and implementation of legislation as it pertains to law enforcement reform. We are committed to the best interests of officers as well as the citizens of St. Louis. So they are saying this bill proposed by the mayor is very broad. It doesn't allow for those involved in law enforcement to be part of the Civilian Oversight Board, and that it could be compromising the police force.
And I am for the idea of oversight. I'm absolutely for the idea of a third party conducting the oversight, because I'm never really comfortable with any organization, whether it's police, whether it's a private organization, whatever. I'm never really all that comfortable with them doing it themselves. Like if something serious happens and it affects the public, to then say, well, we'll investigate internally and then we're going to come to a conclusion from there. I'm not always on board with that, because I don't think you can't necessarily investigate yourself truly. And because there are going to be some things that you cover up, there are going to be some things that you hide, and that goes for any organization. However, if you're going to do something like this, you have to have, and I hate to use cliches, you have to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and make it as specific as possible so that there isn't so much vagueness that we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and that there's not abuse. And so here's what the police groups have said and why they're concerned and why they filed the lawsuit. They said that, this type of change ignores the progress that was made under leadership in recent years. They are afraid that good officers could be vulnerable to those who have an anti-police agenda, because you can submit anonymous complaints, and people with police experience are not allowed to run these investigations. And then furthermore, Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner's office would take the lead on use of force issues. And there's concern that, she has not been, overly supportive of the St. Louis police officers. She has a whole list of officers from whom she will not accept any evidence or any cases. So I just think there's a lot of concern there. And again, it's multiple groups who are concerned that this civilian oversight board could really hamper and hurt the police force, which in turn hurts the citizens of St. Louis.
I don't think the idea of it is bad. Maybe the execution as of right now is not good and not as tight as it needs to be.
Yeah.
I would argue that we need something like that, because part of the equation of policing to work is that the public trusts it. You have to trust the entities that are there to protect you, whether that is living in the county, whether it's living in the city, nice neighborhood, bad neighborhood, doesn't really matter. You have to feel like the police are there to protect you. You have to feel that way, right? I mean, I think if there can be some sort of organization that has a variety of different viewpoints, you have people who have been in policing themselves, who can bring some insight to what is actually going on. Some real civilians who have never been in policing, some public affairs types people, or people who know social workers, all kinds of different people. If you're going to have a board that is assessing if police are doing the right thing in any given moment, you got to have a variety of different viewpoints looking at it. It can't just be all people from one angle taking a look.
And nothing exists in a vacuum. And here's when I look at the different issues facing the St. Louis police officers, my goodness. I mean, how deflating or demoralizing it must be. Again, politicians can say, well, we support the police, we support reform, not defunding. And saying those words, that's fine, but we do know that the mayor cut $4 million from the funding for the St. Louis police officers. She has said she is not going to fill certain vacant positions. We know then that police officers in the city of St. Louis are feeling overworked and overwhelmed by the amount of crime they're faced with. They're also getting paid significantly less than police officers in St. Louis County. So you're going into a tough situation. You're not being compensated in the same way that you can be compensated in the county. And then again, because of the feeling of lawlessness in the city, that there are no, police chases for nonviolent offenders, certain tags or carjacking or stolen cars aren't going to be pursued. And they're just having to do this triage method of, well, let's try to handle the murders and everything else kind of falls by the wayside. To me, that is truly handicapping your law enforcement and hurting your public safety approach. I don't know how you look at all of those issues and say, this is fine, we've got it figured out. I feel like we're moving in the wrong direction.
Well, where have we been, though, in terms of, and I'm talking historically, if you go back 40 years, where have we been in terms of compensation for police in the city versus where we are in the county? Because I know that in a lot of larger cities, a lot of larger metropolitan areas, the city proper doesn't always compensate police the best. In some cases, they are compensated better than the outlying areas. But what tends to happen is the neighborhoods, the districts, the places where people have money, usually the pay is better there. Like if there's just more resources, more wealthy people live in a certain area, it stands to reason that a lot of times police who work in that area are better compensated. I don't really know how you fix that than to just say, well, pay everybody better. You have to make sure the money is coming from somewhere. And I think it's a fair argument to make. And I do believe officers in the city should be better compensated, because I saw the pay scale that was released by the union, and I'm taking them on their word that the numbers they are giving are accurate
and reported by other media outlets as well.
Yeah. So, but reported by other media outlets, with the union being the party that gave them the numbers, correct? Or are these numbers they have sought for themselves?
I think these are numbers they have
sought
for themselves.
So as long as those numbers are true, I mean, it does stand to reason that they should be better compensated than what they are right now. I totally agree with that idea, but it's not. You want to incentivize people to do the job. You want to incentivize good people to want to do the job, not just anybody, because you can find people who are like, I need a job, I'll do anything. Those are not the kind of people you want to be officers. But there clearly needs to be a multi-pronged approach to try and fixing what's going on with the city, what has been going on here for decades, because this is not a recent phenomenon. This is not something that's been going on the last 5 years or 2 years. This has been going on literally my entire life. St. Louis has had a crime problem.
And I know downtown did not have the type of crime in the 90s that we have now. We had more pushed on the outskirts, and quickly we're talking about the pay for the city.
Well, the violent crime rate's been high since I've been alive.
It's been high, but I think what was happening, it was not happening in the main
city.
part
I'm talking city proper.
Yeah. St. Louis County is boosting pay for police officers. And so they are giving raises to 115 current officers by counting their experience and their pay. They're also making joining the department more lucrative for experienced officers. In other words, it's going to draw officers from the city who are experienced, are not getting paid very well. They're going to head to the county, make a lot more money. And I believe it's Joe Patterson, who is representing the police officers union. He said maybe this would be a wake-up call to city governments to pay their police officers better.
314-436-7900. Hey, if you've got a solution, we'd love to hear it. Maybe this one person that calls in or texts in has the solution to all of our problems in St. Louis. We should be listening. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, coming up on the show.
Well, for over 50 years, STL Fence Works has been serving St. Louis, St. Charles, the Warren and Franklin counties. This goes back to 1971 when Russ and Carolyn Long opened the company. And now their son, Sean Timothy Long, he runs STL Fence Works. So when you work with them, you know that you are working with a company that is locally owned and operated and family owned and operated. And I can tell you one thing, this morning, the weather was gorgeous. It had just a hint of coolness to it. It was a sit outside on your deck, drink your coffee, listen to KMOX, and enjoy the morning. And so if you want to make your backyard the backyard of the neighborhood, check out stlfenceworks.com. They are the #1 fence and deck contractor in the state of Missouri, and they've been able to leverage that position to make sure that they have all the materials and supplies on hand that they need to get the job done in a timely fashion by an experienced craftsman. And of course, their lifetime warranty, that surpasses anything else that's offered in the industry. Visit them today. Locally owned, family owned, stlfenceworks.com.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com.
So Charlie said, and that's what they were saying. They said, like, some of these gun things, there would have been a press conference. They said this part downtown. So St. Louis, like North City, was where the crime was. They said downtown it wasn't bad in the 90s. Now I don't remember because I wasn't down here in the 90s.
It wasn't good. Like I used to go to the Landing, and they always told you don't go down to the Landing, but I would still do it anyway.
I know.
I always thought the Landing was okay. Now, once you got off the Landing, it was sketchy. But on Landing itself was
Why pay more than $4? 314-441-4444. 314-441-4444.
Free Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Hi, this is Steve Butts at the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. This year marks our 60th anniversary serving our clients and friends, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Norbert Butts. As your local independent insurance agency, we've been proud to represent many fine carriers such as Safeco, Travelers, and Progressive. So please give us a call for all your insurance needs, 314-752-2500 or crawfordbutts.com.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same.
But at Fisher Investments, we're totally different. Different how?
Yeah.
So high
Because
commission
someone just
investment
said someone's
products,
mic is live when you're on
No.
air.
Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Is it the, or is your thing off? I'm muted.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest.
I'm muted.
care
The
for a
live
financial
stream.
advisor. How do you know
Has
what's
our
in your
mic.
best interest? We get to know
See.
our clients.
I muted the site itself. So
Comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers.
maybe that was it.
FisherInvestments.com to find out why
That what?
investors like
You were
you
muted?
switch to us.
No, like you have to mute the entire tab. Like just the mute on the microphone doesn't work for some reason, which is stupid.
He said YouTube.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it
You can
as
hear us
is,
right now.
without any inspections or
Right now?
make any repairs,
Can you hear us right this second?
Lewis at 314-328-8000 or at
I don't know.
CustomizedHomesStLouis.com and get
Can you hear us right now? If you do, say the word Amy sucks.
He can hear us.
Still?
Yes.